In the spring of 2025, the American auto industry was jolted by a wave of sweeping new trade barriers announced by President Trump's administration. The move sent shockwaves through Detroit and beyond, signaling a dramatic shift in U.S. economic policy. A 25% tariff on all imported vehicles took effect in early April, followed closely by a matching tariff on imported automotive parts in May. Suddenly, every car, truck, and component crossing the border became significantly more expensive. The goal was clear: shield U.S. factories from foreign competition, especially the surging Chinese auto industry, which had been rapidly expanding its global footprint and threatening American market share. This wasn't a minor tweak to trade policy, it was a seismic shift, a bold gamble that upended decades of globalization and free trade. The global supply chain, painstakingly built over decades, was suddenly at risk. Parts that once flowed seamlessly from Asia, Europe, and Mexico now faced new obstacles and costs. Automakers scrambled to assess the financial fallout, fearing not just higher costs, but also major disruptions to their carefully balanced production lines. Executives huddled in boardrooms, running scenarios and bracing for impact. Even American giants like Ford and GM rely heavily on imported parts, transmissions from Mexico, electronics from Asia, and countless other components sourced from around the globe. The modern car is a product of international collaboration. The tariffs threatened to upend their business models overnight, putting thousands of jobs and billions in investment at risk. Plants faced the prospect of idling, and workers worried about their future. The administration hoped that higher prices on imports would boost domestic manufacturing and create new jobs for American workers, reviving the heartland's industrial base. But the reality was immediate uncertainty and financial strain for automakers. Stock prices tumbled, executives fielded frantic calls, and dealerships braced for a slowdown in sales. The industry now faced a more expensive, complicated landscape, with ripple effects reaching suppliers, dealers, and workers across the country. The consequences were only beginning to unfold. The logic was protectionist, but the risks were real. Higher prices for consumers, lost exports, and the threat of retaliation from trading partners. The future of American car manufacturing had never been more uncertain, as the industry stood at a crossroads, facing challenges and choices that would shape its destiny for years to come. In the face of mounting economic uncertainty and new trade tariffs, Ford responded swiftly, launching the bold "From America for America" campaign. This wasn't just another marketing push, it was a rallying cry designed to reassure both customers and employees that Ford's roots and future were firmly planted in American soil. With the unmistakable voice of Bryan Cranston narrating, Ford doubled down on its American identity. The campaign highlighted that an impressive 80% of its U.S. sales are vehicles assembled right here at home, and that Ford employs more U.S. auto workers than any other competitor in the industry. This message was meant to resonate with families across the country, emphasizing Ford's deep commitment to American jobs and communities. The campaign drew a sharp, unmistakable contrast with foreign and even domestic rivals, positioning Ford as the true American automaker. It was a clear statement: when you buy a Ford, you're supporting American workers and American values. This patriotic messaging was a strategic move, aligning Ford with the spirit of the new tariffs, while also building public goodwill and trust. The campaign tapped into a sense of national pride, reminding people that Ford was not just surviving, but standing strong for America. Behind the scenes, Ford's leadership was deeply concerned about the potential dangers and long-term impact of the tariffs. They warned policymakers about the risks, but in public, Ford projected resilience, unity, and pride in its American heritage. The campaign not only reassured loyal customers, but also subtly lobbied policymakers by showcasing Ford's vital role in the U.S. economy. It was a message of stability and confidence during a time of uncertainty. By embracing the challenge, Ford turned a looming crisis into a powerful branding opportunity, defending both its market share and its image as America's automaker. In a turbulent moment for the industry, Ford's message rang out loud and clear. Its commitment to America, its workers, and its values was unwavering no matter the obstacles ahead. Ford made it clear, it wasn't leaving America. Instead, it was doubling down. CEO Jim Farley and other leaders emphasized Ford's status as the top U.S. vehicle assembler and exporter. But they also issued a stark warning: the tariffs could devastate Ford's finances. Even a 25% tariff on just 15% of imported parts could wipe out half of Ford's global profit. Ford supported American manufacturing but not the method. The company walked a tightrope, championing U.S. jobs while warning of unintended consequences. Ford's loyalty was real, but so was its vulnerability. The company fought for public support and lobbied Washington, seeking a path that protected both jobs and its future. Ford's survival depended on more than patriotism. It needed economic reality to catch up. Tariffs quickly hit consumers where it hurt, the price tag. Analysts warned the new policy could add $5,000, $10,000 to the cost of a new car. The Ford Ranger, assembled in Michigan, but with 60% imported parts, faced a $4,500 tariff per truck. The F-150, America's bestseller, wasn't immune, projected to see over $4,200 in added costs per vehicle. These costs would be passed to buyers, threatening sales and jobs. Automakers faced a dilemma: raise prices and lose customers, or absorb costs and risk their future. Even the most American vehicles relied on global parts. The tariffs exposed the true complexity and fragility of modern car manufacturing. The sticker shock was just the beginning. In late April, the administration offered partial tariff relief, a reimbursement capped at 3.75% of a car's value, dropping to 2.5% the next year. Ford's CEO called it inadequate. The math didn't add up. On a $50,000 car, the max relief was $1,875, but the tariff on $20,000 in imported parts was $5,000. Even with relief, automakers faced thousands in extra costs per vehicle. The gesture was more political than practical. Ford and its rivals still had to choose between raising prices or absorbing losses. The core problem, massive new costs, remained. The relief was a teacup for a sinking ship. The industry's plea for real help went largely unanswered. The market's stability was still at risk. Ford's leadership warned that tariffs distracted from the real threat, China's automotive rise. In early 2025, BYD sold nearly 1 million vehicles globally. Outpacing Detroit's Big Three in the US, BYD's edge wasn't just scale, but technology, like ultra-fast charging EVs. Chinese automakers could bring new models to market in under 2 years, far faster than US rivals. Tariffs on allies wouldn't stop BYD. They could even weaken US innovation by raising costs. The real fight was global, not domestic. Ford argued that America needed a forward-looking strategy, not a defensive trade war. Competing with China required investment and agility, not just barriers. Facing tariffs and Chinese competition, Ford called for a new approach: industry cooperation. Vice Chair John Lawler urged U.S. automakers to set aside old rivalries and consider joint ventures, partnerships, and even consolidation. The Chinese industry's scale and speed, often state-supported, was unmatched by any single American company. By pooling resources, especially for EVs and batteries, U.S. automakers could compete globally. Collaboration could cut costs, speed up innovation, and create a united front. The real competition was no longer Ford versus GM, but America versus China. Lawler's message survival depended on unity and a global mindset. The future demanded bold, collective action. The tariffs plunged the auto industry into chaos. Stellantis suspended its financial guidance. GM postponed earnings calls. Automakers scrambled to adapt, lobbying the White House for relief. Supply chains were thrown into disarray. Should companies stockpile parts, find new suppliers, or wait for more changes? Predictability vanished, paralyzing investment and hiring. The intended stability of tariffs gave way to confusion and anxiety. The industry was stuck in a twilight zone, hoping for clarity but bracing for the worst. In the face of mounting economic pressures, Ford tried to shield customers with temporary discounts, hoping to soften the blow of rising costs and keep buyers coming through the doors. These short-term deals offered a brief sense of relief for families dreaming of a new car. But when pressed about the future, CEO Jim Farley wouldn't promise long-term price relief. The uncertainty left many wondering if affordable cars would soon be a thing of the past. The reality was clear. Higher prices were coming, and sticker shock was becoming the new normal for car shoppers everywhere. For many, the dream of driving off the lot in a brand new vehicle was slipping away. As sales slowed and auto loans grew larger, families faced tough choices about their transportation needs. The dream of car ownership, once a symbol of American opportunity, could fade for working families, replaced by anxiety and disappointment. For auto workers, the risk was just as real. Every shift brought new worries about job security and the future of their livelihoods. Tariffs designed to protect American jobs could backfire if sales dropped, leading to layoffs and empty factories instead of prosperity. The global supply chain, once a source of efficiency, now meant that a tax on imported parts threatened U.S. factory jobs directly, making every component more expensive and every job more precarious. Ford's response was a mix of patriotic marketing, urgent lobbying in Washington, and public warnings about the growing threat from China and other global competitors. All of it pointed to an industry at a crossroads, where every decision carried enormous consequences for workers, consumers, and the nation's economy. The stakes were high. The future of American manufacturing, the prices families pay for cars, and the stability of entire communities hung in the balance. Every conversation on the factory floor, every negotiation at the dealership, and every sign reading job security reflected the tension of the moment. The next decisions made in boardrooms and on assembly lines would shape not just Ford's fate, but the economic future of millions of Americans. The ripple effects would be felt by families in cities and suburbs, by workers clocking in each morning, and by communities built around the auto industry. The path forward was uncertain, shrouded in questions about jobs, prices, and the very future of American mobility. The risks had never been greater, and the choices ahead would demand courage, vision, and resilience from everyone involved. America's auto industry was on the edge of transformation, with its future and the hopes of millions hanging in the balance.